And yes, we know Go Hangouts is going away. You suck. Um, all right. I think I am live. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting. And despite what I said last night that I wasn't going live today, here I am. And that is because of the person that's here with me. Say hello, Big Will.
Hello, Big Will.
So tonight we're going to be, he hit me up after the live stream with a subject that I'm going to let him kind of give some of the lead into here. But if you saw on the thing, these are not the grades you were looking for. And it's a little bit going to be about you sent some books off, you had specific plans, and then they came back and they were not what you expected. What do you do next? And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit. And I will let you kind of give your example here so we to get the discussion started.
All right. Well, I will start with the easiest one first. First things first is everyone, no matter how long they've been doing this comic book thing, like I've been doing it since 2006. Other people have various time frames that they've been doing it. But the cardinal rules everyone breaks on occasion. For example, you should always open the book up, look inside, and look at the back, not just the cover when it's in a bag and board. Because if you don't, this happens. Now, what happened was I wanted to send one of my newsstand versions of this book out, and I didn't have but a couple of them because they're harder to find than the direct edition, which doesn't have the barcode down there. And I looked at the front, I thought, well, if there's nothing on the back, it's probably about a 9.0 or so. And it looks good on the inside as well. So I just need to get all this stuff out. It's probably okay. I'll go ahead and send it in. Everything on the grader's notes, just about it, was issues with the back, which you can't really tell on my crappy camera, but there were bins. There's one that breaks color right in here, I believe. There's a whole bunch of scuffs and other kind of bins, almost every bit of it on the back cover. So that brought me down to a 6.0. Of course, it's my favorite cover, my favorite character. I'm okay with it, but still, I was not prepared for a 6. An 8.0 maybe. A 6?
A 6 is rough. For a book that's out there enough and modern enough that typically there's lots of, that's not a book you would slab it. It's not a Silver Age book where he comes back and it's a 6. You're like, okay, that's fine too. Even if you thought it was more, it's a more modern book. So
8.0 and better is what you expect out of a book from 1988, even though that's 31 years ago.
Right.
Or years ago, excuse me. And by the way, I also want to say real quick, if I squirm a lot, it's because I did something to my back. So don't anybody freak out in the chat if I dip out of the camera or something.
Yeah. So speaking of the chat, let me shout them out real quick here before we go any further. Unruly Simeon was here early. What's going on, man? He is always in my chat. Caleb the Comic Smurf Murphy, what's going on, man? Let's see. Hi, Leo, Comic Bro. Hey, man. Cameron D, Hitman 1116, and Bake the Snake. So thank you guys for joining us. And Old Wolf just dropped in. What's going on, Old Wolf? So this is a book that obviously it's your favorite cover. It's a book that you're okay with. So you're okay with keeping it with a 6. That would be kind of if it was a book that I really cared about. But it's that book off though. That's not a book that's necessarily one that I would make that kind of category for me. So what do you do with a book that's a 6 that you can't sell it because you're not going to get anything for it?
Well, first off, I want to put at ease Cameron D's head. Yeah, 6.0s almost makes you cry, but it's okay. I have a spare.
There you go. So it does make you feel a little better.
And I've got another 2 of them at CGC now, so that's okay. But if you look on the Go Collect, you'll see that in that condition, roughly $30-$40 is what it sells for slabbed. It cost with Fast Track about $40 to
Yeah.
slab it because I always press as well. So
Right.
that's a 6.0 with a press, by the way.
6.0 with the press.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So it cost about 40 to slab it, which would have been great, if I got it for free.
yeah.
But I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I spent about 25, $30 on it, which if I can get one that is direct edition, I try not to spend more than $20 on them, and I hunt for them. But if it's a newsstand, I'll spend up to 40 depending on condition. So I mean, I didn't do too bad, but with grading, that blew out any hope of selling it for profit.
You're not making any profit at that point. That at that point, it really becomes about, okay, do I just want to keep it as part of my collection, or do I just want to move it to get rid of the painful memories that I graded a 6.0 and basically eat the loss? Those are really your only choices at that point.
True.
And it's
But I'm probably going to wind up just giving it away because that particular book in that grade, I don't feel right trying to sell it
right.
because even $40, $40 to buy you a 9.6, 9.8 raw of the same book. So
Right.
why spend $40 on a sixth grader?
You'd have a hard time selling it for $20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you would have a hard time doing it. So,
But I would have to make my grading fees back if I were to sell it to make any sense selling it.
right.
So I'll probably just wind up giving it away or something. We sometimes give stuff away on the big show, so that's probably what he'll wind up doing.
See, a little 16 out of it. And at cons, always pull book out of bag and board. Absolutely, Caleb. That is,
Yes.
yeah, it definitely. Well, I always ask. I always ask them to do it. Like,
Oh, I do too. I didn't one time, and now I do.
yeah, I always ask them to do it. I always ask them to do it, and then I hand it back to them and let them put it back. And that's just the way I do on that. So
Yeah, but that was an eBay sale, so there was no way on that one.
yeah, well, that's just one of those. If you really, so you never looked at the back at all, then.
No, I said I broke the cardinal rule. When I break the rule, I break it, son.
Okay, so yeah, you
But
bought that on eBay, didn't look
had I looked at it though, it would have been okay
right.
because I wouldn't have sent it in and slabbed it. It's the fact that I sent it in without looking at it and added that extra cost.
Yeah. Although it'd be a nice say, okay, he's not wrong on that front. So, somebody that doesn't have that book that likes that cover, it would be a fun way to get it. So,
I mean, it is Claremont and it is Buscema on the cover. So,
yeah.
And it has its good points.
So, a couple more people have jumped in. Sam I Am Comics and Lady Fantastic. Thank you for joining us. So, I think that's a fairly easy situation, realistically, because you don't have a lot of options when something comes back that low. It's just kind of, you just kind of have to eat it. It's just, who said that earlier? Unruly. Sacrifice to the gods of grading is basically what you've done there at that point.
Yeah, that was my sacrificial lamb.
Yeah. So let's talk about.
There's another book that I have.
Yeah.
Same situation, kind of, but not quite as bad. Caleb is in here, and Caleb, me and you both thought this book was a 9.8. We both missed something on the spine. It's not a 9.8. It's a 9.6, and it is Immortal Hulk #2, 9.6. What it is, I can see it now that I know I'm looking for it,
Right.
What it is how if you take your fingernail and dig in, you can kind of make a little hole in the cover of a book?
Right.
Apparently that happened 2 times on the spine of this, but you can't see it. So, I mean, unless you're specifically looking for it, you're not going to be able to see it, and I can't show it on camera.
Right.
But when you're expecting a 9.8 and it comes back a 9.6, it's kind of But on a book like this, where there's such a price difference, it sort of takes your breath away. Now, don't worry. Caleb gave me a great deal on this and some others. Even at a 9.6, I'm going to make a profit if I choose to sell it. but the question is, should I?
Yeah.
Now, JP, go over the values of this book.
So
We both looked them up before the show.
yeah, let me get back to it so I remember and get it right. Fair market value on Go Collect for 9.8 is 325 right now, and for a 9.6 is 130. So more than double, almost triple the difference in terms of no, not quite 2.5 times, I guess, price difference in terms of between a 9.6 and a 9.8. So yeah, what do you do there at that point? You have invested in a book and your goal for this specific book was to grade and sell. That was your whole plan. It wasn't a book that you were looking to add to your collection.
Yeah, this book, the reason I bought the lot that I bought was because it was a good deal. And what I did with most of them is I gave them to my buddy, just gave them to him because he really loves the Hulk. And I kept 3, one being number 2 to grade. And had this come back a 9.8, we wouldn't be having this discussion. It would be on eBay right now.
Right.
But it's a 9.6, so I'm still, if I were to sell this thing, make, 30 to 50, maybe $60 profit. But is that enough to have the same rush, or should I wait? Because this book is not 5 years old, which is my benchmark for if a book is worth money. That's the benchmark for me to
Right.
make. It's always going to be worth some money.
Yeah, if it's made in 5 years, and that makes sense.
Like NYX3 is a perfect example. I know that's a good book. It's a money book because it's stood the test of time. This one hasn't. And you said nostalgia off air, but there's really no particular reason why this book is as expensive as it is. Really, I mean,
we were on a stream the other night, and I was just in the chat, and the Immortal Hulk #2 came up, and somebody, TJ was the one that was like, the Slab Dragon was like, well, it's not about the future for that book, it's about the past. And the problem with that is, and I realized that, it's, and then for those that don't know particularly, is that it's the first appearance of Dr. Fry. Haven't used him hardly at all in that run. He just appeared, but he hasn't been important to the Immortal Hulk run. And it's a character that first appeared in the old late 70s, early 80s. I don't remember exactly when that show ran, Hulk TV show, and had never appeared in the comics before. So that's the first comic book appearance.
Yeah.
And it goes for.
And he was only in one episode of the show.
And he was in one episode of the show. And so to this day, I don't understand what's driving the price on the book. I just don't get it. I guess people think that he's basically been a one-off on the TV show and a one-off on the comic book realm at this point. He's made like 2 appearances, and it's a $325 book. And so what for a 9.8? So
yeah.
What do you do with it?
And I'm worried that at any point, if Ewing or Bennett start doing crap stories or go off the book, something might happen, and they will eventually go off the book.
Yeah.
And if Alex Ross stops doing the A covers, I don't know how big a drop that'll be, but that'll be some kind of a drop, because that's a big plus of these books is the beautiful covers.
Yeah. And, I think about that, and it's like, I don't know. I think that early part of the run is pretty low print. Those covers are not going off the book. They're still going to always be gorgeous. But the hype around Immortal Hulk itself is going to eventually cool a little bit. I'm a little bit torn because you were asking me, what would you do? Now, full disclosure here, I had a copy of Immortal Hulk #2. When it got to between $30 and $40 initially, I sold that sucker because I was like, I don't like. Get out of here.
I can tell you right now, the Hulk, Wolverine's my guy. The Hulk, he's got great stories, and I'm loving Immortal Hulk. I buy the trades because I don't have the single issues, so I am going to sell that book. That's what I'm going to do. But it's a good discussion because I was looking for the 9.8. But then I got a 9.6, which is a big difference in the price.
Yes.
I'm lucky and I'm still going to be okay, but what if it was a 9.4 because of something I didn't see? I mean,
So, and the thing that you're thinking about here is Omega Comics brings it up really well. He says, look at what happened to Weapon H and the Red Goblin. Could that happen to Dr. Fry? If you remember, around this time last year, all those Red Goblin story first appearances and stuff were $20, $30. Like they were selling like that 95, 96, 97. All of those books were going crazy. Like they were big money out the gate and were maintaining. All those books are like $5 to $10 books now, if that. And the Red Goblin is kind of a weird first appearance, but like to me, the Red Goblin has been more potential than Dr. Fry does for long term. Maybe I'm wrong on this. The other thing is, and Lady Fantastic, she sold hers Hulk 2 for $60. My personal opinion on this, and this is completely my personal opinion on this particular book, is I would sell it even now. But I understand the debate because full admission was I was like, I don't get why they're going crazy over this book. I'm selling it when it was like between $30 or $40. So yep. I missed out on value, but I also paid $5 for it. So I'm okay with that, even though I could have sold it if I'd have waited like too much for $80.
Well, I have another book that has sort of the same thing happen, but for the better. This was on the same order. Wolverine #1 of the limited series. As you can see, I got it in a 9.6. But see, here's the thing. I bought this raw as an 8.0.
Oh, nice.
And it got graded and pressed up to a 9.6. And at the price I got it at, of course, if I were to sell this book, I'll be fine. I'll make a profit. Even though I was, I was hoping for a 9.8, but I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
I was hoping, for a 9.2 at the most, but I got a 9.6, so I'm even happier now. Plus, he's my boy.
Oh yeah, and that's a book that like has staying power already. It's demonstrated that cover, that book, that's a classic to a certain degree. So
Wolverine 1 limited series is very, very similar. I actually think it's the same price in 9.6 and 9.8 as Immortal Hulk #2.
Right.
It's just a standard book because it's from 1982 at that price.
Yeah. Just think about that. The first Wolverine series, and it is the same value as the first appearance of Dr. Fry. The logic that makes no sense to me. I'll have trouble getting past that with the Dr. Fry thing. Let's see.
I might as well show the last one of that same order off.
Yeah.
She-Hulk 1, 9.4.
There you go.
So I had no expectation at all on this. I just wanted one.
Yeah. Anybody else show up in our chat here real quick? Burke Nasty dropped in. I already said Omega Comics. Rod showed up earlier. I don't know if I ever mentioned Rod. He was in here. Ed D, what's going on, Ed? Just trying to make sure I catch everybody. Dave Enrique, what's going on, man? He makes a point of when the hardcover comes out, he feels like a lot of people will try to get like the trades or the hardcover and then sell their single issues because they're so valuable. I think there's a decent amount of that's been going on. Biggie Shack dropped in. What's going on, Biggie? Who else is in here? I think Comics Fish Explain. Hey man, what's going on? And I think that's everybody. I've caught up. What is Smurf saying? The base material is endless, and each generation gets lazier and lazier. It's easier to make something out of something than to create new stuff. So I'm not sure where he's referencing there. But yeah,
in general.
Yeah, I think just in general. But so my feeling on that is, so you talked about this, and I'm going to pull this book down because. So I got this signed, and I will tell you, like I snagged this off eBay, and my hopes when I snagged it was probably to be in this range. It looked really good. Got it signed by Bagley, and I got it pressed. And my hope was I might be able to sneak a 9.8 out of it. And if I did, basically my plan was when Carnage shows up in a trailer, this sucker was going on eBay because I was going to use it to get something more valuable something that's currently more valuable that I really, really wanted. Like, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. In the meantime, I was going to track down another raw copy to just to have for me. If this has come back in 9.8. Now I don't know. It's a 9.6. I don't know for sure what I'm going to do with this because I probably am going to hold it at this point, at least for a while. I guess I'll see how crazy.
Well, you have to wait till the next Venom trailer.
Yeah, you have to wait till the
because
trailer.
We know that Carnage has to be in it now.
Yeah, you have to wait till. You obviously have to wait till Carnage shows up, because otherwise you're definitely leaving money on the table. But I do debate what to do with this book because I got it signed myself. Do I just instead go and try to track down another really high grade copy, get it slabbed, and hope that comes back in 9.8 and keep the signed one? What do I do? And I think it's a debate that's it varies by book and how much you care about that book and that character, whether or not. See, because I'm Matt, who's normally in here with us, he is a big 9.8 guy. I am not a 9.8
No.
guy. Yeah, I know. Shocking, right? The boy who has 7's a 9.8 guy. I am not a 9.8 guy. I do not care about that 0.8. Now, do I want a nice grade copy? Yes. And maybe it's because of my budgetary situation that I'm willing to accept lower grades.
No, it's not that. It's just a different way of looking at it. I personally don't care if it's a 9.8 or 9.6. I care if the value and the price I get it at, that's what I care about. Now, I was hoping that was a 9.8 to sell it, but I bought it at a value to where I'm still profitable even at a 9.6.
Right.
And that's what I always try to do. My oh man, crap. I can't think of it. Oh yeah, Wolverine 1.
Right.
I bought about 7 copies raw for $18 a piece.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and almost all of them are near 9.8s. But they can go as low as, I think a 9.0 and I'll still be profitable.
Yeah.
But with the press, like that 9.8 I showed you was one of those books.
Right.
So it's going to be able to sell for around 150 or so.
Yeah. And see,
the value there.
Yeah, and this was one that I spent a long time before I pulled the trigger on this particular copy, and I would have been okay price-wise if it had come back even 9.2. If I ever wanted to just get my money back, I'd have been okay price-wise even if it was a 9.2. But
I guess
definitely to the advantage.
I guess the real question then is, do you try to buy raw and then slab it, or do you buy it already graded and just try to get a deal?
Oh, you mean on the books?
Yeah, on any book, really, because
generally my thought process on almost any book is if it's a modern book that I'm looking for a high grade in, and by high grade I mean 9 or better. Just because you're looking at a raw copy, you can't see everything. Generally, I'm going to try to look for the raw. This is my personal philosophy. Is I generally look for the raw copy. Try to do the best. I feel like in those upper grades, I can tell pretty well from the pictures. If something comes back and it's way more, it's clearly not that, and they've claimed it is, I'll just send it back. And I really I would rather go after, for the most part, after the raw copy than pay the premium for a 9.8. I will consider, I have a couple books that I've bought 9.6, 9.4, because I could basically get a 9.6, 9.4 without paying that much more than a really nice raw copy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And then I knew what I was getting at that point. But generally, I focus mostly on the raws. Older books, and the chat is going crazy, and I haven't been looking at it. Sorry, guys. I'll try to catch up with you in a minute. But older books, I do not feel good at this stage of my collecting telling that 6.0 that you got from a 3.5, if that makes any sense, or a 4.0.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, like I have not messed with enough books and graded books and tried to grade and had people like work with people who knew what they were doing enough to understand some of those differences and identify them. So for older books, I have a little more leniency to like just pay for the slab copy. But for most part, if it's an older book that has value, I'm probably more in like the 4, 3.5, 5 range anyway, because that's what I can afford. But I have a tendency on once the grade I'm looking at gets lower, to be more inclined to go after the slab. But that's me, and that has to do with my personal knowledge and experience.
Here's I think is a perfect example of the difficulty of answering that question.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is from about 1968, 1969. It's a square bound book, Silver Surfer #3, and it's even in low grades, somewhat expensive. I mean, it ain't skyrocketed yet, but there's always that option. But with a square bound book, how do you know how this affects it? We don't get square bound books that often, and none of us were around when they were, normal like this one out of this material. And plus, I got this with more than just this one book. I bought a couple, so I think I'm okay on it, and I'm gonna get it graded, yes. But that kind of book, I prefer to buy graded. That way, I don't have to worry about it. Like this one right here, I bought already graded because I'm afraid, because it's a square bound and from the 60s, that if I try to buy raw and get it graded, I'll either break even or possibly lose my money,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a hard question to ask. To me, if a book is triple digits in less than a 5, you may want to consider buying it already slabbed.
Yeah.
Now, when you do that, of course, you're probably going to pay near or at fair market value, if not a little more, and that's the struggle because it's so much cheaper raw, but it's so much of a gamble.
Sometimes I tell you what, like I have been looking at Detective Comics. Everybody knows I'm looking for a Detective Comics 359 first Batgirl, and I've been looking at like raw copies, graded copies. Basically, I'm looking for the best copy at the best deal that I can find. And I tell you what, there's people that like are like most of the raw copies I see that people say, oh, it's a 4. They want as much, if not more, than a graded 4. It's like, what is what people are asking for a graded 4? And it's like, really? Like it's raw. So it does vary. It's amazing to me. Like, well, it shouldn't be like because I look at this stuff every week, but like what people will ask for things when you see what like right now there is not a copy of that book at any grade below a 6 that is listed within 50 to $75 of the Go Collect fair market value. Not one on eBay, unless something got listed today or it's an auction and just hasn't got there yet, like to wherever it's going to sell. Like there is not one. Everybody is $75 to $100 over what they're selling for constantly at every grade. It's like
that ain't nothing, man. Try looking for Werewolf by Night 32. I was going to try and find me a restored copy. That way I could buy it a little cheaper and maybe make some money by getting the restoration taken out. But dude, it sold for $100, the one I was looking at, over Blue Label FMV. It's restored.
So, you know, and that's why you can't like those prices on eBay, you just have to ignore. Like people are asking stupid prices generally.
Yeah. Well, when you click on, we obviously both have been using Go Collect. That's what we both mentioned.
Yeah.
So if you have Go Collect and you click on the 25 sales after looking up the FMVs, and it does a breakdown of all the latest 25 sales, you'll notice all of them are around or slightly under the FMV.
Right.
That's what's actually selling. So that tells you a lot of people don't actually get their stuff sold on eBay, or
They
they
don't.
have to lower it.
It just sits there forever or until they take an offer, is basically what a lot of that stuff does. And really just patience, so you can still get a good deal. And that is a big key. Is
Hey,
patience.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I saw Bert Nasty right there said, I have a 4.0 Braven the Bold 54. I love it despite the grade. I have one that'll be coming in the next couple weeks.
Oh, do you? Nice. It's a Brave and the Bold 54. I would love it in any grade. What are you talking about? Burke Nasty. Oh, I have this major key. I love it despite the grade. Get out of here, Burke. I tell you what.
Yeah, that's funny.
Let's see. Oh, he wants to know your grade. Let's see. Anybody else?
I haven't got it back yet, Bert, but most likely it's probably going to be between a 5 and a 6.
So Caleb says, really cool that he's having a press. He's going to be slamming more. I'm just trying to see if there's anything I missed here in the thing. Wow. Omega, you see, like way back here, Omega was, when I was talking about the 361, got his for 20, signed by Stanley and Randy Eberlin, and it came back at 96. Woo! Gonna make a little bit off of that.
A little bit.
Yeah. So kind of what, where we started with this is what do you do? And with when you get these grades, and what do you do with Immortal Hulk, and what do you do with, your 6.0, and then, I brought up this. So it is an interesting question that's going to vary, I think, a lot by the book. If you're like trying to grade and flip, I never really understood why people were like, oh, I only got a 9.6 when they do their unboxings, and were pissed that they got a 9.6 on a book they thought was a 9.8. I'm like, it's still a 9.6. But until I started doing the research on the value, and if you watched a couple weeks when we did that 9.8's the only grade, the boy and I who had 7.9 did on this, that video, it's basically a 50% cut in what you were going to make on average on books, and it varies, obviously. In this case, it's closer to a 75% cut in terms of the value. But I think you're just going to have to make decisions based on that particular book. In your case, like, let's say I
don't mean to interrupt you, but Amazing Murphinator, the 6.0 was a Wolverine #1, 1988. The 9.6 was the Immortal Hulk, but I agree with you. There shouldn't be a 6.0 Immortal Hulk. That's sad.
Let's see.
I think he just got confused and thought that you flipped the books.
Yeah, no, maybe I did. I didn't think I did that, but so I think the biggest thing there is, obviously it depends on the book. Like for this, let's say my plan was for that Spider-Man all along was to flip it, and like that was the only reason I had it. Didn't really care about it. If it comes back to 9.6, I'm probably, if that was my original goal, I'm probably moving it anyway. And it's just about timing. I think in that case, there's going to be an obvious timing, which is when that trailer drops. That is, the trailer drops with Carnage in it is most likely the time. That, or you wait till the movie itself and hope that it's really, really good and Carnage is huge. Like those are your two options, if that's your goal. For
But
me, go ahead.
the good thing is your 361 back there, it's a 9.6, yeah, but it's also signed.
Right.
So that usually grants you almost usually up to maybe 50% of the 9.8
Yeah. Well,
value that you can charge. Like, for example, this book is an 8.5, but it's double signed.
right.
So it's on eBay now for around the 9.6 price, and I'll probably have to drop a little bit, but I'll still make a lot more than the 8.5 price because it's double signed.
Because it's double signed.
So even though you only got a 9.6, you can get near that 9.8 price because it's signed, and it's only Bagley, right?
Yeah, mine is just Bagley. So he was at, like, I just got this book a couple months ago. He was at PlanCon. It's only Bagley. Like, I would potentially maybe like get it signed again, like cracked and signed, but I don't know. I may just Bagley's the only one necessarily from that store, that book, that I necessarily really care about, because I really like him as an artist on other Spider-Man stuff. So I probably won't crack and have that one signed again, but
Yeah.
it's just me.
Yeah, I agree with D-Runk. He says he's trying to score a ASM 149 in high grade, but a 9.6 is 550, a 9.8 is about 4,000, he said.
Yeah, which is just weird to me. I do not understand it. I like when books get like that, I flat out refuse to pay that premium. I'm just not going to do it. Like when I was doing the research with Boy Who Had Seven, like on that other video, it's like the difference between 9.8 and 9.6 is the same on average as the difference between 9.6 and 8.5.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, percentage wise, not necessarily total value, but the percentage cut is the difference between, and it's just like, it makes no sense to me. One at 9.6, crack and press. Yeah. Unruly says 9.4 is officially near mint. I'm happy with that for a lot of books. Me too, Unruly. I gave Bear Island a little crap about his 9.6s or whatever, and well, I kind of avoided that after D-Runk did, but I am all about a 9.6, particularly if I'm trying to buy a book. I am all about that. But so any other thoughts here? Our original subject was kind of, like adjusting your expectations when books come back, not how you want them to be necessarily in terms of grading. And what do you do? Any other examples? Or
well, I was just going to say that if you want to get a little more crazy, we could start mentioning something like variants. 9.8s on those, they get crazy. And I'll give you a classic example here. I'm gonna go collect on my phone. Sandman #1, the Jack Kirby, Joe Simon Sandman, from the 70s.
Right.
Yeah, 9.8 is $220. But if you have the variant cover, which is actually just, the ink got too light and it made it look purple instead of blue.
Right.
The 9.8 on that is 1,050.
Good.
The percentage in difference is even greater than the percentage in what you can find.
Yeah.
You can find, you go on eBay now, you can probably find a few hundred of those variant covers of that book.
That's weird. Well, they tried to do that. Like, I know there's things going out about like the dark version of, yeah. And you can make fun of my chair again because it's squeaking. I know I need to replace it. But there's supposedly like a dark version of this that people are trying to make it something out of. Like, and it's like, because you can't see the difference between the buildings in the background, that it's like a darker version. And they're like, oh, and it's like, dude, it's just a printer. It's just a printer mistake. It's not a variant. The dark variant or whatever. It's, some of that stuff I don't have the patience for.
Well, it's like the first 10 years of newsstand versus direct edition. The first 10 years worth of books, the newsstand isn't all that much,
Yeah.
Because of how many were printed versus direct edition. It's only until you get to like 91 and after that the newsstand is actually worth something. Perfect example, this the She-Hulk. that I have, the Savage She-Hulk #1. It's from 1980. This one's a newsstand.
There were
But
more.
the newsstand was 95 to 90% of the market.
Yeah. Like
Of course, you're going to find a newsstand. So if you find a direct edition, they were taken care of better. So you're going to find them about 50-50, and you shouldn't pay a premium for this newsstand, but a lot of people do. But now, you get 91, you find a Spawn newsstand, that's like a 1 in 200. Yeah, that's worth more.
That's worth more. Yeah, and it's one of those things that people have taken that, like, people start talking about newsstands being rare and everything else, and people take it completely out of context of the date and time. Like, I know, like, I showed off, like, even that Teen Titans 44, which is from 84, like, they were starting to get close to being almost equal at that point, but, like, the direct edition is actually rarer than the newsstand. But everybody's like, oh, did you get a newsstand? I'm like, no, I don't want a newsstand. You got to know your timing on that. And so
now the newsstand stopped for Marvel, I believe, in 2011, and it was 1% of the market. So if you get one from like 2005 to 2011, you got a rare book there. I doubt you'll get anyone to pay you for it, but it's a rare book.
it is a rare book. So let's see. Anything else going on in the chat? Yeah, 85 is the year they were 50-50 is what Mark Spector says. That's what I was thinking. It was like mid-80s is when...
Yeah, when the production run of them was 50-50. Yeah, it goes 1979, 1980, 5% direct. 1982, about 30% direct. 85, it's about 50-50. And around 88 where it starts becoming about 70% direct, and then it just goes, even more after that.
Yeah. So, sorry, I was just trying to check the chat here. Let's see. Anybody else?
Oh, that's fine. I'm reading it too.
Yeah, Mark Spector dropped in. What's going on, man? Anybody else dropped? Amazing Murphinator. No, you mentioned him earlier. I think that's it. I think there's most everybody. Oh, Comic Collector dropped in. I'm scrolling back up here to see if anybody I missed. I think that's everybody. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I don't know that I have anything more tonight. Like I said, this was a little bit impromptu, so we weren't because Big Will hit me up last night after my live stream, was like, hey, you want to talk about this? And I was like, sure. So anybody in the chat have any thoughts you guys haven't shared with, that you guys want to share about what you do when the books come back, or if you have a specific plan and they're not the grades that you want, then how you adapt?
Yeah. Dave Enrique says, great to hear people talk about newsstand versus direct. I don't know if you have one, JP, but I actually have a video I did with Barbarian Kung Fu on my channel, specifically on that topic, if you want to know a little more about it.
Yeah, so go check out Big Will's channel, his channel. There is a link in the description to his channel, so go check that video out. I don't have that video linked, but because I didn't know we were going to go down that road. But definitely go check out his channel. Sub him up if you haven't already. I don't know, you probably got more subs than I do, but I'm not sure about that. But and yeah.
Oh, Unruly Simeon thinks they're going to be champions.
What, Georgia? Oh. Uh-oh, things are about to get real in here. A Tide fan and a Bulldog fan. Uh-oh. Yeah, don't you just mean Clemson? So, my school ain't ever going to be, so I'll just poke at you guys from that way. But so, Big Will, you got anything you want to pitch while you're on here?
Not really. I don't actually get to do that much because of my work schedule. I just had a easy time this month because of issues. But usually on Sundays, Jeffrey and I, sometimes we'll have a guest, but we do the big show. It's always on my channel. We thought it better to not have it flip-flop so everyone knows
Right.
specifically where to go, and that's at I don't know how to do the math, but it's 1:45 Central Time. Do your own time zone math.
There you go.
And I think we'll have Jeff Comic 813. I'm not sure. We had to cancel yesterday, so hopefully we can get him. But if not, we'll get someone else, or it'll just be me and Jeff talking about something.
There you go. All right. That sounds good. For me, this week, you will probably catch me going live at some point. I'm going to try to start making the switch to OBS since Google Hangouts is going away. So I will probably go live just to see if it's working at some point. So, and I'll probably plan to delete that video. But if somebody's in the chat, I'll talk it up and we can see what's going on. I'm not sure when that'll be. I just got to mess with it. I may have to actually like get a different camera because it doesn't seem to like my like old built-in camera to my computer very much. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to see. I'm gonna play with that a little bit. Saturday will be obviously another episode of the Look Back, 6-month look back at the CBSI Hot Top 10. And I usually go live on Sundays with something. I don't know what. And then next Monday, I will be on Comic Book NYC's channel, and we will be doing our next episode of Gotham City Chronicles about this time. Well, about the time we started. And we will be talking about Batman White Knight. So come join us for that if you like that story. So that's all I got coming up. I want to thank everybody for joining us. It looks like Blaster Stash It Comic Show just came in. Thank you, sir. We are dropping off, but I appreciate you giving us a few minutes. And yeah, unless you got anything else big, Will?
No, I'm good to go. Appreciate everybody coming by. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks for joining me. All right, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Bye.